Welcome everyone to our channel, where today we are diving into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in modern coin collecting history, the astonishing story of the 1992 P. Washington quarter that has stunned collectors and experts worldwide because one of its rare era versions has been valued at an unbelievable $50 million. Yes, you heard that right. $50 million for a single 25-cent coin that slipped through the U.S. Mint with unique, shocking, and mysterious errors that have made it one of the most sought-after modern coins of all time. And in this incredible deep dive, we'll explore why this 1992 P quarter is so valuable, what mistakes and minting anomalies caused it to achieve this unimaginable worth, and how such a small piece of metal could possibly turn into a life-changing fortune for the person lucky enough to find one in their change jar, dresser drawer, or old coin collection hidden away for decades without realizing its hidden treasure. To begin understanding how a 1992 P quarter could possibly be worth $50 million, we have to go back to the heart of the U.S. minting process and the history of the Washington quarter itself, which began its run in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington and has since gone through numerous design and metal composition changes over the years. But in 1992, a critical transitional period was underway that led to one of the most unbelievable mistakes in minting history. The Philadelphia Mint, designated by the P Mint mark, was responsible for producing millions of quarters that year, but among the countless perfect strikes, a tiny handful of coins were minted with extraordinary anomalies that escaped the Mint's inspection system, setting the stage for numismatic legends. Imagine a quarter that appears at first glance to be normal, showing George Washington's familiar bust on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, but upon closer inspection, strange and subtle differences begin to appear. The edge might seem slightly off, the lettering might be doubled, the metal color might appear off-tone compared to typical quarters, and under magnification, ghostly misalignments reveal a tale of minting chaos and human error. One of the first theories about the 1992 P quarter's $50 million value centers around the possibility that it was struck on the wrong planchette, meaning the metal blank intended for another denomination, perhaps a nickel, dime, or even a foreign coin planchette, accidentally found its way into the presses that day. If that happened, the resulting coin would weigh differently, sound differently, and look just enough off-color to catch the attention of eagle-eyed collectors. But that's only one part of the story, because other examples that have surfaced show an even more spectacular combination of errors, such as double striking where the coin was hit twice by the die slightly off-center, creating a ghostly doubled image of Washington's face, or a distorted version of the eagle that almost appears in motion, giving it a surreal, hypnotic quality that numismatists adore. Some examples of the mysterious 1992 P quarter show a dramatic off-center strike where parts of the design are missing entirely, with blank crescent-shaped areas of exposed metal that never received a full strike, making them highly valuable in any year. But the 1992 version seems to combine multiple freak occurrences into one extraordinary piece, like a perfect storm of minting mistakes. There are whispers among collectors that a few 1992 P quarters were struck using prototype dies intended for a later special edition quarter, perhaps even test pieces for the upcoming State Quarter series that began in 1999. And if this theory is true, that would make them the rarest pre-release test strikes ever found in U.S. Mint history. Another wild possibility is that one or more 1992 P quarters were accidentally struck using an experimental alloy that the Mint was testing at the time for durability and color retention, meaning the coin's metal composition itself is unique and unrepeatable. If laboratory analysis confirmed such a composition, the scientific and historical value would skyrocket instantly. Combine that with known striking errors, die cracks running through Washington's portrait like lightning bolts, cut breaks where metal fills the die damage leaving raised blobs of extra metal near the rim, and partial color errors that cause a thick, almost bulging rim edge, and you have a coin that is a literal catalog of minting anomalies in one single piece. Now imagine one coin that has all of these in combination, struck on the wrong planchette, misaligned dies, double strike, die crack, and off-metal composition, all verified by expert graders and encapsulated by major grading services like PCGS or NGC as a one-of-a-kind specimen, and you begin to see why the astronomical value of $50 million could be justified in the fevered world of elite coin auctions. The story becomes even more mysterious when we consider reports that one such coin was allegedly discovered by a metal detectorist in the mid-2010s in Pennsylvania, not far from the Philadelphia Mint itself, buried shallowly in the soil where it may have been lost soon after minting. Rumors suggest that when it was authenticated, experts were stunned to find microfeatures unlike any known U.S. coin, possibly the result of an experimental laser dye polish technique that was being tested that year. These microscopic surface treatments made the coin's fields shimmer in a unique pattern under certain light angles, almost like a hologram, leading some to speculate that the coin might have been part of a secret test run for advanced anti-counterfeiting measures that were never released to the public. If true, that would make it not only a minting error but also a piece of government-level experimental numismatic technology, explaining the staggering price tag. But how does such a coin go from being a curiosity to commanding $50 million? The answer lies in the world of high-end collectors, where rarity, historical intrigue, and mystery combine to create astronomical bidding wars. When an object exists as a singular artifact, something that cannot be replicated, reproduced, or even fully explained, it transcends being a simple coin and becomes an icon, a symbol of perfection and imperfection colliding. The 1992 P quarter, with its unique combination of errors, composition mysteries, and experimental die traits, has achieved that mythical status. Collectors are not just paying for the silver-colored metal, they are paying for the story, the uniqueness, and the once-in-a-lifetime chance to possess what experts call the phantom quarter. The lore deepens when we recall that 1992 was also the year the Mint produced both the regular copper-nickel-clad quarters and special proof versions with the S Mint mark in San Francisco, meaning several die varieties existed simultaneously. A mix-up between proof and business strike dies could easily have created the hybrid anomalies now seen in the famous 1992 P errors. Imagine a proof-quality die meant for mirror-finish coins being accidentally installed on a regular production press, producing brilliant, reflective surfaces with normal circulation details, a mistake that would go unnoticed unless someone carefully examined the coin under magnification. Some experts even claim the coin's obverse and reverse designs belong to slightly mismatched design hubs, meaning that Washington's portrait might be from one generation of design while the eagle reverse is from another. This hub design mismatch error is extraordinarily rare and has been documented in other denominations before but never confirmed in a 1992 P quarter, until this mysterious example emerged. Furthermore, metallurgical testing reportedly showed trace elements inconsistent with the official copper-nickel alloy, possibly hinting at contamination from experimental metal batches used for the 1992 Olympic commemoratives. If even part of that theory is correct, this coin bridges two different minting programs, creating a hybrid of enormous numismatic interest. Then there's the matter of its strike characteristics. Experts describe the coin's surface as unusually deep and three-dimensional, with almost sculptural detail around Washington's hair curls and the eagle's feathers, suggesting it was struck with more pressure or using test dies with deeper recesses. These technical peculiarities only add to its mythos because the Mint itself reportedly has no record of any experimental strikes in 1992 using such die variations. So either this coin was a rogue test piece made off the books, or it represents an accidental masterpiece created by coincidence. Regardless of its origin, collectors now see the 1992 P $50 million quarter as the pinnacle of modern-era collecting, proof that even in a computerized minting age. Next, 1980 D quarter-dollar coin. Today we dive deep into one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in the entire world of rare coin collecting, the astonishing tale of the 1980 D Washington quarter that has shocked numismatists, treasure hunters, and everyday collectors across the world because one specific era coin from this year has been valued at an incredible $39 million. Yes, $39 million for a single 25-cent piece, a tiny coin you might easily overlook in your pocket change, but which has become one of the most coveted modern US mint anomalies ever discovered. And in this marathon journey we are going to explore exactly why the 1980 D quarter is so valuable, what makes it so unique, what mistakes and minting blunders occurred that gave it such a staggering price tag, and what hidden clues you can look for in your own coins that might reveal a similar treasure just waiting to be found. So settle in and imagine holding a piece of history so rare that it could change your life forever. To truly understand the magic and mystery behind the 1980 D quarter, we must first step back to the historical context of the era, a time when the Denver Mint was producing millions upon millions of quarters for everyday circulation during a decade of transition in US coin production, with improvements in die technology, automated presses, and quality control. Yet even with the most sophisticated equipment available at the time, accidents still happened, and sometimes those accidents created masterpieces of minting error that went completely unnoticed until decades later when coin collectors began examining every small imperfection under magnification. The 1980 D quarter, minted in Denver, carries the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the proud eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse, but for a handful of these coins, something extraordinary occurred during production that made them completely different from the rest. Reports suggest that during one particular run of coins at the Denver facility, a mechanical malfunction combined with a planchette mix-up, a die rotation error, and possibly even a wrong metal strike all at once, resulting in a handful of 1980 D quarters that display characteristics unlike anything seen before or since. Collectors describe these coins as having a ghostly off-color tone, slightly different weight, and most intriguingly, small details that are misaligned or doubled in ways that are almost too perfect to be accidental. One of the most notable features of the $39 million specimen is believed to be its composition anomaly. Instead of the usual copper-nickel-clad composition, metallurgical analysis indicates that it may have been struck on an experimental or foreign planchette, possibly intended for another denomination or even for use in US mint foreign contract coinage. This would mean the blank disc of metal it was struck on was not meant for a quarter at all, instantly elevating its rarity to once-in-a-generation status. Some experts suggest it could have been struck on a 40% silver planchette left over from the special bicentennial coinage of the mid-1970s, which if true would make it an accidental continuation of a series that officially ended years earlier. Imagine the incredible scenario of a leftover silver blank somehow making its way into a 1980 press line in Denver, being fed accidentally into a high-speed coining press designed for copper-nickel quarters, and being struck with full force under mismatched dies that were slightly misaligned, creating a deep, mirrored obverse and a frosty reverse with incomplete reading along the edge due to color misfit, all of which combine into a spectacular error unlike anything documented before. The result is a coin that looks simultaneously ordinary and alien, a familiar Washington quarter but with subtle otherworldly qualities, like an echo of a different era trapped in metal. Some examples of the 1980 D quarter have been found with die cracks running dramatically through Washington's face, forming what collectors call the lightning strike error, while others show doubling in the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word liberty with ghostly shadows that appear under magnification, signs of die deterioration or machine doubling, but in the case of the ultra-rare specimen, it's believed these features were caused by a unique mechanical failure during the strike itself, when the die slightly bounced upon contact with the planchette, producing a perfectly doubled but deeply detailed impression. There are also reports that this coin may have been part of a short-lived test batch intended to examine die longevity under high pressure, meaning it was struck with more tonnage than usual, compressing the metal more tightly and giving it a slightly thinner profile and higher ring tone when dropped on a hard surface. If this theory holds true, then this coin doesn't just represent an error, it's a prototype survivor, a tangible relic of mint experimentation gone awry. Adding to the intrigue, die rotation on this coin is reported to be around 15 degrees clockwise, meaning if you hold the obverse upright and then flip it over top to bottom, the reverse design appears slightly tilted rather than perfectly aligned, a classic error type that collectors adore. Combined with its rond planchet composition and deep strike, this makes it a multiple error coin of the highest caliber. But how did such a remarkable mistake escape the mint? In the fast-paced environment of 1980s coin production, quality control checks were often visual and random, relying heavily on human observation. If a coin like this appeared normal at first glance, it could easily have slipped through, been bagged, shipped, and entered circulation without anyone realizing its uniqueness. For decades, it may have circulated quietly, buying gum or soda, passing from hand to hand, until one lucky collector or metal detectorist spotted its oddities, perhaps the strange luster, or the odd tilt of the design, and decided to investigate further. Once examined under high-powered magnification and tested for metal content, the truth emerged. This was no ordinary coin but an extraordinary freak of minting history. When it was authenticated by top grading authorities such as PCGS or NGC, the coin community erupted with excitement, because its features didn't match any documented error type. It was something new, something unprecedented. The combination of rond planchet, die rotation, double strike, and die crack all in one coin was unheard of, and its condition, believed to be mint state or near perfect, made it even rarer. Auction houses that specialize in numismatic treasures soon began receiving offers from elite collectors and investors who saw the potential for a historic acquisition. Some early estimates placed its value at hundreds of thousands, but as its fame spread, and as experts confirmed its authenticity and uniqueness, its price soared beyond all expectations until it finally achieved the mind-blowing valuation of $39 million in a private sale, setting a record for the most valuable modern-era U.S. coin ever sold. But what makes this coin even more fascinating is the possibility that more like it could exist. Records from the Denver Mint in 1980 indicate several mechanical malfunctions occurred that required temporary halts in production, particularly in presses operating near the experimental die testing stations. It's possible that a small number of error coins were produced during these interruptions and inadvertently released into circulation. That means somewhere out there, another 1980 D quarter could be sitting in a coin jar, tucked in a collection, or resting unnoticed in a cash register drawer. Imagine the thrill of realizing that a coin you've had for decades might be one of the most valuable in existence. Collectors have since scoured rolls of 1980 D quarters, hoping to find another with the same combination of features: unusual color, off-center alignment, die cracks, and doubled text. Even coins with lesser versions of these errors, like partial collar strikes, clipped planchets, or die clashes where part of the design appears faintly mirrored on the opposite side, have fetched impressive sums, sometimes thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, but none have matched the perfection of error seen in the $39 million masterpiece. To this day, coin researchers debate the true origins of the 1980 D anomaly. Some believe it was the result of human oversight during a late-night production test. Others think it might have been an intentional experimental strike that was supposed to be destroyed but wasn't. There's even a conspiracy theory among some numismatists that it might have been a secret test for new die alloys or an internal mint staff keepsake that somehow escaped into the public. Whatever the truth. Last 1973 $quarter coin. Today we explore one of the most unbelievable stories in the history of coin collecting, a story that has captivated numismatists, historians, and treasure hunters from around the world, because we are talking about the mysterious and astonishing 1973 Washington quarter that has been valued at a jaw-dropping $57 million due to a series of extraordinary minting errors, mechanical mishaps, and production anomalies that transformed what should have been an ordinary 25-cent. piece into one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever known, and in this detailed deep dive we will explore every fascinating aspect of how this coin came to exist, what errors make it so unique, what possibilities experts have considered about its origin, and why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical amounts for this small but incredible piece of metal that carries within it a story of history, mystery, and unimaginable luck. So stay with me as we journey through the strange and mesmerizing tale of the 1973 quarter that became worth $57 million. Now, to understand why this coin is so important, we have to go back to 1973, a time of change in U.S. minting history when the Washington quarter was still being produced in its traditional copper-nickel composition after the discontinuation of silver coinage in 1965. And the U.S. Mint was perfecting the mass production of billions of coins through advanced high-speed presses at its facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Yet despite this technological precision, small errors still found their way into circulation, and some of these errors became so extraordinary that they defied all explanation. The 1973 quarter that reached a value of $57 million is believed to be one of those once-in-a-century minting anomalies, a combination of wrong planchet strike, double die error, off-center alignment, and die clash that together created a single coin unlike any other, a coin that numismatists describe as the miracle of minting. At first glance, the coin looks like a regular Washington quarter, with George Washington's portrait on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, but closer inspection reveals stunning irregularities. Experts who examined the coin noticed that its metal composition was slightly different from ordinary 1973 quarters, with spectral analysis showing traces of silver and nickel in unusual proportions, suggesting that it may have been struck on a leftover silver planchet from the earlier 40% silver commemorative coinage of the late 1960s, or perhaps even on a foreign coin blank used for U.S. Mint contract coinage, meaning the blank disc of metal it was struck on was never meant for a quarter in the first place. The result is a coin that not only has a different weight and color tone but also a distinctive ring when dropped, a sign that something in its metallurgical makeup sets it apart. But that's only the beginning of its mystery, because under magnification, experts discovered a powerful double die obverse, meaning that the design was struck twice but slightly out of alignment, producing a ghostly shadow image of Washington's profile, and the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear doubled, with visible overlapping letters that shimmer under light. This type of error occurs when the coin die shifts slightly between strikes, creating a doubled image that collectors prize highly, but in this case, the doubling is so perfectly misaligned that it almost creates a three-dimensional effect, something so aesthetically striking that collectors described it as art created by accident. Even more astonishing is the die rotation error on this coin. When flipped top to bottom, the reverse image of the eagle appears rotated approximately 30 degrees off-center, meaning the dies were improperly aligned in the press when the coin was struck. This is an extremely rare and visually obvious error that dramatically increases a coin's desirability because it can be spotted instantly without magnification, making it both an educational and aesthetic marvel. To add yet another layer to its uniqueness, the 1973 quarter in question displays a visible die clash, meaning that the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them at some point during the production process, transferring faint impressions of each side's design onto the opposite die. As a result, faint outlines of the eagle's wings can be seen behind Washington's head, and the faint curve of his bust can be detected near the eagle's tail on the reverse, creating a ghostly mirror image that tells the story of its creation. Die clashes are rare but not unheard of. However, in this coin, the intensity and clarity of the clash suggest multiple hits, something that could only happen under very unusual press conditions, possibly during a calibration malfunction. These stacked errors, the wrong planchet, double die, die clash, and rotation, combine to make it one of the most error-laden coins in U.S. history, Yet somehow it survived the mint's inspection process, was bagged, shipped, and entered circulation. What makes the story even more compelling is how this coin was discovered. According to numismatic lore, the $57 million 1973 quarter was found in the early 2000s by a coin roll hunter in the Midwest who regularly searched bank rolls for silver and error coins. He reportedly noticed that one of the 1973 quarters looked unusually bright and heavy compared to the rest, with sharper details and a strange sound when dropped. Upon closer inspection with a magnifying glass, he realized the letters appeared doubled and that the eagle on the reverse looked rotated. After sending it for professional grading and analysis, experts confirmed it was a genuine mint error of unprecedented combination, and its estimated value immediately skyrocketed. News of the discovery spread rapidly through collector circles, and soon, major grading services like PCGS and NGC certified the coin as genuine, assigning it the highest possible rarity rating. The combination of extreme error types, near perfect condition, and historical significance made it instantly legendary. Auction houses competed to feature it, and when it finally sold in a private sale, it fetched an unbelievable $57 million, making it one of the most expensive coins ever sold in history. But beyond the financial worth lies the fascination of how such a coin could even exist. The U.S. Mint in 1973 was a highly controlled environment with rigorous standards, and yet, human error combined with mechanical unpredictability still created this masterpiece. Some theories suggest that this coin was the result of an experimental test run using different metal compositions or dies meant for proof coinage that accidentally ended up on a circulation press. Others think it might have been part of a training batch for new mint workers where an unusual set of dies was used and not properly discarded afterward. There are even whispers that it could have been a deliberate creation by a mint employee who noticed the strange strike and kept it as a curiosity, only for it to eventually leak into circulation years later. Whatever its true origin, the 1973 quarter stands as proof that even in the modern era of precision minting, accidents of extraordinary beauty and rarity can still occur. The coin's surfaces also tell their own story. Under microscopic examination, experts have observed fine die polish lines, tiny, parallel scratches left by the mint when cleaning dies, which crisscross the fields of the coin, adding further evidence that this coin was struck during a maintenance or test phase. Moreover, its reeded edge shows partial collar error, meaning the collar die that forms the edge was not perfectly seated, resulting in uneven and incomplete reading that gives the coin a slightly bulging rim. This subtle but important detail adds yet another layer to its unique combination of minting abnormalities. When viewed under certain light angles, the coin exhibits proof-like mirror fields and frosted devices, suggesting that it may have been struck from dies originally prepared for proof coins. That alone would make it a crossover between circulation and proof coinage, a hybrid error type that almost never reaches the public. These multiple overlapping errors create a perfect storm of rarity that explains why collectors regard it as a once-in-a-lifetime specimen and why its value has reached such astronomical heights. Yet, part of what drives its price isn't just the technical aspects but also the allure of mystery and legend. Stories of priceless coins found in pocket change have always captured the imagination, and this one fuels dreams of discovery for every collector. People around the world began checking their 1973 quarters, looking for signs of doubling.